Can you own nothing, but have everything and be happy?
Imagine a world where the richer you are, the less you own. A world where a fancy car, a large house, and expensive clothes cease to be a status symbol and become a burden, while experiences replace belongings as what we cherish the most. Is it possible to own nothing but have everything?
Only in the fantasies of a green neo-communist, but we can do it right this time. See, we won't just steal it from you. We'll make it so expensive that you can't have anything and have to borrow everything. While they want you to own nothing, someone else will own everything. By the way, the woman in this TED Talk claiming that possessions are a thing of the past and will be displaced by services is living large in Tel Aviv. She was on Forbes Israel's 30 under 30 list in 2019. Pretty sure the world's richest dual citizens aren't going to give up all their high-end possessions anytime soon. But the thing is, slave, you won't have everything, only the things they say you can.
Why would you even want to own a car when what you really need is to get from point A to B? Today, I can summon a car anytime, anywhere. It appears within minutes, takes me wherever I need to go, and then disappears, like magic. In many ways, that is a better arrangement than having to own a car. What used to be a car is transforming into a riding service. Someday soon, personal cars may be banned in cities, replaced with an autonomous vehicle service.
Why would you want to own a car? It's so much maintenance. Just summon a car. It appears, but someone owns it. And how far will it really take you? Only within a 15-minute radius? Pretty sure wealthy folks and elites pushing this crap won't be selling their fine German cars to take an Uber instead. Please, they own Uber. Being dependent on someone else to come pick you up is not liberating. Not knowing how to fix or maintain a vehicle is also not liberating. This crap is being pushed on people who already don't own much to try and convince them it's better this way. Enjoy your dependence. Stop striving for ownership. Let us take care of it for you. We'll ban your car, which gives you freedom to go wherever you want to, when you want, and then replace it with a vehicle service where we control every movement. We're liberating you of your possessions. Doesn't it feel good?
Will our houses become services too? In the past, newlyweds would go ahead and buy a house, secure a mortgage, compare real estate, buy a ton of furniture, and spend long hours on upkeep and renovation once in a while. Why make all these commitments? Life is full of surprises, especially these days. Over the past few years, I have lived and traveled to more than 30 countries across 5 continents. With a supercomputer in my pocket and widespread connectivity, I don't need an office. I can work from anywhere. Travel has become a way of living, serving as fertile ground for a new generation of nomads. And that's when owning stuff really becomes a burden. Services are more important than ever.
Owning a house is a burden. Just become a rootless cosmopolitan, a digital nomad traveling from one third world warm country to the next for the rest of your life. You don't need a home for your future family or anything to pass down because having kids is bad for the environment anyway. Being a wandering nomad is going to be great when you're growing old. Don't worry, you can request a digital nursing home service where they'll medicate you until you die. Meanwhile, someone owns all of it, and they can evict you at any time.
Imagine a world where all the physical products around us transform into digital services. How would life look like with no belongings, no commodities, no wallet, no assets or property?
Okay, communists, can I get a digital service to stockpile in case of an emergency? How about a service to upkeep my mini homestead so I can be self-reliant? Yeah, thought so. It is built into human nature to want to own property. It is based on a survival instinct, which we've seen all throughout history. For you to be free and to flourish and live as you want, land ownership is number one. It's power, authority to make one's moral choices on one's own, free of others' intrusion. The right to property is even recognized in Article 17 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. There's no mystery as to why Karl Marx put the abolition of private property at the top of his list, leading to his communist utopia. Under communism, we all are deemed to be one. Privacy has no place in it, as Marx proclaimed that the human essence is the true collectivity of man. Privacy is ruled out by definition. You can spot a dissenter quicker this way, you see. Although a Marxist will tell you that without privacy and private property, stealing and crime won't exist anymore because everything is the property of everyone all at once. They only steal because there has been an unfair distribution. By the way, Karl Marx was a freeloader, in constant debt, lived in filth, and neglected his children and wife. Aristotle, the Greek pagan and philosopher, made an observation nearly 2,500 years ago, still relevant today because it speaks to human nature. He said communal ownership leads to reduction of responsibility and a corresponding lack of care for and attentive involvement with whatever is owned. In other words, collective ownership leads to the tragedy of the commons. The only way to prevent this would be through strict regulations, surveillance, and enforcement. Because not all humans have benevolent motives. Therefore, abuses will always, most certainly, without a doubt, happen, especially in these days of diversity and multiculturalism, which has destroyed any social cohesion we have left. Today's self-appointed elites pushing the fake green agenda, including Miss Tel Aviv here, believe that humans can be indoctrinated at an early age to accept new common values, such as you'll own nothing, ignoring the simple fact of human nature and psychology, which will always reveal itself. It's not just a house or a car, it's individual sovereignty to do with it as you please without answering to anyone else.
Let me take you to a day in a life in this kind of future. I live in a complex, a place with everything I need to live, work, and play. Like a lot of my friends, I prefer the co-living housing because of the round-the-clock services they offer. Once in a while, I might choose to cook for myself. I subscribe to a food service that sends me fresh ingredients from a farmer nearby, carefully selected based on my culinary preferences. I'm thinking about upgrading to the premium organic service everybody's talking about, cooked by a famous robot chef. I subscribe to most of my clothes. Every morning, they arrive at my window port with a drone. I can wear something different each day of the year if I want. At the end of the day, I'll drop them to be picked up by the drone. I 3D print my jewelry. Actually, this is something I already do. If I have a special occasion, I might 3D print a dress designed especially for me and custom shoes based on a scan of my feet. Once the event is over, I'll simply drop them in the recycling bin. The material will be recycled into its original state. My apartment has no closets, no washing machine or dishwasher. I don't need to worry about mortgage, maintenance, or even renovation once in a while, because furniture and decor became services too. Once we have kids, we'll probably subscribe to a baby equipment and toy service. Every couple weeks, the toys will be swapped and we will receive fresh ones, sterilized, of course, based on my kids' age and preferences. My home will transform as my needs change, when I move from city to city, or as my family expands. I can stay for a year, for a month, or even just a few days. When I travel, I don't need to pack anything. The things I normally use will be waiting for me wherever I land.
Forget learning to cook, that's oppression. Just order your vaxxed veggies and bug protein prepared by your robot chef straight to your pod. You can move to another pod in another big, ugly, modern city if you want to because you're free. then print some fake jewels, request to use borrowed clothes, furniture, and toys brought by a drone with the swipe of your finger. You don't even need a suitcase. Rely on the system 150%. What more do you need? Oh, but to use that baby service, you'll have to prove that they've taken these 3,000 jabs. And here's our list of prohibited products deemed offensive or unhealthy by whatever alphabet agency. Also, you're white, so according to the new equity policy and because of historical white supremacy, you can't get access. For something that's supposed to be so easy, it sounds exhausting, overcomplicated, and dumb. It will make people even dumber than they already are in our modern society today. They won't know how to do anything for themselves.
This new world might raise some concerns, such as, how will it feel like not owning anything at all?
Yeah, we have concerns. Would we be sharing our underwear too? Also, it would feel like tyranny not owning anything. Ask the guy who has nothing. He isn't happy. It goes against human nature.
Maybe this is actually an opportunity to redesign our crowded cities, replacing parking lots and large isolated housing with green parks and shared communal spaces.
Here we go again with the communal green commie fantasy talk. She lives in a country that can't even get along with their neighbors, but tells us owning nothing is an opportunity. Look, I'm not a fan of cookie cutter neighborhoods and urban sprawl. I'm also not buying what she and the WEF are trying to sell. The idea of a 15-minute city where everything you need is nearby is what traditional Europe did for centuries, except they made it beautiful and uplifting to the soul. Again, to maintain these communal commie spaces and keep order, it would require total behavior modification and control. That's what she means by opportunity for a new world. At the end of the day, it becomes a gulag. It might have a little patch of grass around it, but it's still a prison.
How will we stay in touch if we're moving around all the time? Maybe we'll hang out using a mixed reality service. Soon, we will all have genie superpowers.
You don't need IRL, just put on the goggles. It's safer that way anyway, but ultimately those in control don't want you moving around all the time. Everything you need is right here in this little zone. The nomad living thing is a sales pitch for younger generations to accept phase 1, but the rules will most definitely change.
Soon, we will all have genie superpowers. Things will be there exactly when we need them.
So wiping your finger on a computer is not a superpower. Not knowing how to do anything for yourself will be a disservice in the long run when and if the lights go out. And you can be damn sure none of this genie magic is going to be affordable. There's always a price to pay in their new world. The answer is not globalist communal tech spaces, but local tight-knit IRL communities where we learn how to be self-reliant. We can swap and trade just fine without apps owned by major corporations who will deem what is acceptable and what is not. What Miss Tel Aviv doesn't admit is that efforts to redirect human behavior will always be subverted to personal ends of those doing the modifying. It always ends with the constraint of individual rights resulting in harm. This is clearly exemplified in the major collectivist states of human history. We already see this happening today in the so-called free world too, with tech companies, banks, and major corporations banning thought criminals and the government jailing people for memes. These maniacs have interests that aren't good for you.
Some may ask whether I might feel untethered by not owning anything at all. I tell them I feel the opposite. I feel a deep connection to our ancestors, like a primeval nomad who owns nothing. Curious, adaptive, ready to hit the road and explore the unknown.
So she's saying she's a wandering nomadic Jew like her ancestors. So then everyone else should be too because they once didn't have a home. Well, now you have Israel. Open up your borders and welcome in the nomads, the wanderers, multiculturalism, communal living. They never will, though, nor will any Jewish billionaires be giving up their wealth because why would you if you actually do own everything?
Making room for collecting experiences rather than things. Own less, but have much more.
But she wasn't lecturing us on owning less. She was saying own nothing, borrow everything. I'm not pushing excessive materialism here, but it's always the wealthy who have everything who push this own nothing line on people who hardly have anything. It's almost like they want everything for themselves, huh? The WEF type still try to appeal to the impulse of materialism by dangling the carrot. You can borrow all of these material things you desire, but the end game is always something way worse than what we had before. It's repackaged communism using the same old tricks. This time, it's rent everything and be happy. All that matters is that you have a roof over your head, right? But someone does own it, and you have to ask them before you can do anything inside of it. You think having a landlord or a small rental corporation is bad? Wait until you're leasing from Facebook. In typical Marxist fashion, they say things like, no one will be hungry, you will have all the basic needs, and poverty will end. Robots will do all the work, and you can just watch porn in VR all day. On a planet with 8 billion people and counting, a utopia will never be realized, not even on a planet with 500,000 people. The 1% who owns everything and is very happy about it wants you to own nothing and accept your servitude. They want you to be 100% dependent on them without knowing how to do anything on your own, independent from their will. They want to own you. There's nothing happy about that. Thank you, Red Ice producers and members who made this video possible. Our message will echo throughout time. Times may be rotten and blackpilling, but hard times will make stronger men. Never give up, never lose the vision for your best interests. See you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Go to redicemembers.com and sign up for our exclusive members content. Don't miss our latest shows, interviews, and other videos only for subscribers. You can also become a member by signing up at subscribestar.com/redice. Get full access and help support our work. See you on the other side.